hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Community Conversations. We have with us our very first guest, Jessie Van Breugel, an absolute content king, a LinkedIn influencer with nearly 30,000 followers. Jessie has his own six-figure business as the founder and of Creator Academy and Realigned Coaching, where he's helping creators and entrepreneurs build their thought leadership and online presence through tried and tested branding and content strategies. And with that comes the most important part. He's helping people book more qualified leads and book more meetings through the entire process. And so welcome and thank you so much for joining me today, Jessie.
Thanks for the good introduction. And I'm honored to be the first guest. It's always nice to be first. That's what I strive in my business for as well. So good to be here, and I'm excited to chat to you today.
It's really kind of us, Jessie. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you. And for real quick, Jessie already knows this, for the viewers that are going to be watching, the entire concept of the interview is dedicated to empowering our viewers with the latest strategies and expert advice to thrive in the world of LinkedIn, just as Jessie is, with some of the brightest minds and influential LinkedIn experts. And so that rounds me back, right back to Jessie. And so Jessie, 10 minutes, 5 questions. We want to dig in straight into your expertise. And that brings me to my very first question. And it's a big one. Why LinkedIn? As a LinkedIn influencer, what do you think sets LinkedIn apart from other social media when it comes to building your personal brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say to building a personal brand, not necessarily as much, because I think everyone can build a personal brand on any of the platforms. I think especially in terms of selling, which is my expertise on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is different from my experience, because there is so much trust and credibility baked in the platform. Like, for example, on TikTok, Twitter, or Instagram, everyone can be a certain person. It's really easy to be a fake or to be a scammer. Sure, there will be stuff like that on LinkedIn as well, but there's much more like trust and a verification in the process. So it's easier to have people trust you, because the assumption from the other side is like, hey, this person's not going to like ruin his or her reputation in order to scam me. Sure, there will be bad stuff happening, but I've sold on Twitter, I've tried to sell on Instagram, and I've sold on LinkedIn, and the difference are so much better, because people, again, there is so much more trust baked into the platform.
Absolutely. And I sort of agree, because most people might argue, that you can be an influencer on Instagram as well, with a lot of followers and trying to sell and make money as well. But I suppose you're absolutely right when it comes, LinkedIn has a more trust factor built in. And that, rounds me up to the next question, Jessie. You extensively talk about, the importance of content-based selling, your expertise in the content-based selling system. Could you pinpoint top 3 common mistakes you've seen people do that are easily fixed, that are easily be worked on?
Yeah, that's one. I would say, in order to build a content-based selling system, you first have to pick the right person to solve, because picking the right person to serve with your offer has by far the biggest impact on the amount of money you can make. Sure, certain people can have the same motivation, but if the one is broke and the other one has money, it's an easy pick. And yet I see so many people on LinkedIn target the wrong people. So I think that's one. I think the second one would be that people forget to speak about emotions. So it's a really like salesy post, but they forget to tap into the pain points of their audience. So something that I teach all my clients is something I like to call the photos. So we want to speak into the fears, the objections, the desires, the obstacles, and the frustrations. Not all in one post, but by at least mapping these out for ourselves, we know exactly what the pain points and the desire from our ideal client is. And then we can use content in order to speak into that. And I think the last one is really important. It's a clear call to action. On LinkedIn, people have a 5 or 6 call to action in one. And if you confuse, you lose, as Donald Miller for Story Brands perfectly says. So you want to be really clear, like, if you want to have this, send me a DM or sign up this thing. Like, be really concrete. Like, what's the number 1 action that you expect from the reader to take after reading your whole post?
Absolutely, that's one to keep in mind. If you confuse, you lose. And that brings me up to the next question, which is, if people have already started on the journey of content-based selling, how would you measure the success of it? So, what are the metrics that you think one should be looking at in a content-based selling approach? And is there a sort of one size fits all when it comes to content-based selling?
Yes, I would say the success of a lead generating post. So which is the main thing we do in a content-based selling system is the number of leads, it's the number of quality inbound leads it gets. Because people always think about impressions, likes, comments, shares, all these things. Cool, they play a role, but they're not the biggest thing. Sure, we need them to reach, we need an audience to speak to the masses, but I prefer to have a post that has 100 views but 10 leads than a post that has 100,000 views but 0 leads. So I think that's something that I have to often like uncoach about with my clients. Like, sure, we need impressions, we need likes, we need comments, but the goal for this post, if it's lead generating, then we have to measure the success of the post on this. So in the content strategy that I help my clients build out, we do reserve a small part of the content towards like audience growth. So it's much more like engagement and impression driven. And the rest of the content is lead generating or authority building. And then we can rate the success of those posts, of course, on the number of inbound leads we get.
Absolutely. So it's sort of very based on your objective. If you're trying to generate leads,
exactly.
If you're trying to network. Absolutely. And then, I know these upcoming 2 questions are going to be, one of the popular ones and the most important ones, because people want to know, how do you approach, what is your sort of approach when you're creating a content strategy for LinkedIn? So, what are the key factors that you're considering when you're developing your own strategy?
Yeah, it kind of ties in what I said in the second question. It's like, know exactly who you're writing for. Imagine one person in mind, like where are they now, where they want to go, like the before and after state, because your content speaks into that. It speaks to someone that's currently in a painful, undesired state, and they want to go to a pleasured state. Let's say someone is, your ideal client is overweight, 20 pounds. They're currently overweight 20 pounds and they want to go to a healthy and fit body. Cool, that's the transformation you want to speak into. Then want to make sure that we have these photos, as I like to say, the frustrations, the obstacles, the desires, the objections, and the fears. We have this in our content as well. So we really have to map that out in order to create our content strategy. And we want to be clear, okay, this person wants to go from overweight to fit. What is our plan? Like, how can we use that in our content? So it's a little bit abstract, perhaps, for the listeners or for the viewers here. But those are the key elements in terms of like creating a good content strategy. So let me recap. Know who you write for, know where they are, know where they want to go, and know how you can help them get from A to B.
Absolutely. And perhaps the next question can help piece some parts together when we're saying, so you extensively also talked about LinkedIn growth, your personal life experiences as well, building your own 6-figure business. What are some of the tactics that you've used, to grow your own following, along with the, achieving objectives of booking more meetings? So a lot of people say consistency is very important. Is there anything else that you have for our viewers, that actionable insights that they can use to eventually grow their following as they're on the process of content-based selling?
Sure. So with the advice, I would say a few different phases. In order to get from 0 to 1, so to start, I would say give the advice you wish you had 6 months ago. Write for your past self, because by doing that, you stay close to yourself and you don't feel like an imposter. Plus, everyone has a story, so there's something to write about. Then the question is more like, okay, can you write well? But that comes with putting in the reps. The same way is that you can't bench 200 pounds if you just get started to the gym. So first, to get from 0 to 1, give the advice you wish you had 6 months ago. I would say secondly is, it is consistency. It's a really unsexy answer and people kind of like joke about it, but I would say most of the people that make fun of consistency can't be consistent. That's the hard truth. Like, look at all the big creators out there. They have been consistent for many years. And I think people nowadays on these content platforms, they expect to blow up overnight. So something that I keep telling myself is like, it's a quote from Alex Hormozi, is like, I can't lose if I don't quit. So just another day of content creation. And especially like writing and content creation, if you put a challenge for yourself for like 30 days, then just make the goal, okay, I'm not going to stop today. And after 30 days, you're like, oh, this actually been fun. You got some results, perhaps not leads, but you have seen your audience grow. You became more comfortable. And like I said, my LinkedIn journey, or this I'll say this phase of the LinkedIn journey in April 2022 started with me like, hey, I kind of dislike the platform. I don't understand it well. Let me just put a 30-day writing challenge in place. And then after that, I will see it. Well, it's 13 months later. I'm still on the same challenge. Yesterday, I got named the number 36 creator, like the sales and marketing category at LinkedIn. So I'm like, well, it's consistent. Like I've never gone viral, but I'm like, well, I can stay consistent. Just another day of content creation, just another day of content creation. So I think that's an unsexy answer that not everyone wants to hear, but speak to all the creators that are much bigger than me, and they will probably give you a similar answer.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that inspirational bit as well, Jessie, at the end, and those hard-hitting facts that maybe some of us need to hear when it comes to content creation on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for all the in-depth answers and for sharing all your knowledge, in this compact session, Jessie. And for everyone who may not have come across Jesse's profile, you need to check it. You need to check out his LinkedIn and give him a follow. Jesse posts exceptional content about his life and how he built his business, the hard truths like he's given here, the successes and the challenges he's faced in doing so. In addition to some amazing resources that I've seen as well. So the LinkedIn, the tags, everything will be in the description. And thank you so much once again, Jesse. And I'll see everyone in the next one. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.